Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that many of these are joint filers. They have families, they have child support payments, and I asked the committee to follow up on why incarcerated people do not receive these payments, which says, according to the statute, the CARES Act says every eligible person may receive. And I thank you very much for the time given.
Thank you.
I thank the Congresswoman, and I assure her we will follow up on that because there is no language prohibiting such payments. Excuse me. The chair now calls on the distinguished ranking member, Mr. Hice, who looks very relaxed and very comfortable for his 5 minutes of questioning. Mr. Hice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I am very relaxed, and but it's good to be part of this hearing. I do want to respond. Ms. Collins brought up some interesting issues during her opening statement, and one of which, and it's been said by some others here today, about the IRS starving in terms of fund. I would just, for the record, bring back to reality that in 2010, that was kind of a watermark year for IRS funding. And what did they do when they had that kind of funding? There were lavish conventions, there were ridiculous videos, there were targeting of conservative groups. And I think it's important for these type of things to not be repeated. Commissioner Redding, we're hopeful and trustful that you will be able to make sure that this type of wasteful spending does not happen again. But also was mentioned, I believe it was, and I think I've got these numbers correct, I was trying to write them down, 18 million paper filing of tax returns for this past year, 5.5 million in backlog, and I believe it was 2.8 million that were unopened. As it relates to the paper filings, those that were mailed in, that is certainly nowhere near 90+% of completions. 18 million filed and 5.5 million backlogged and nearly 3 million unopened is frankly an unacceptable amount. We are hearing from our constituents right and left why their tax returns have not come back. So really, I just, in behalf of those constituents, not only in my district, but across the country, when can they expect those mailed in returns to be opened, dealt with, and them to receive their refunds?
Sir, as of September 25, we've received 12.9 million paper returns. We have a current paper backlog of approximately 5.3 million, of which we estimate that approximately 2.5 million is returns. We are processing our backlog at the rate of about 1.3 million per week, which I think is exceptional. In March, April timeframe, we were at about a 23 million backlog, so we have about 1.3 million we're going through per week, keeping in mind that we average somewhere between 300,000 to 500,000 pieces of mail each week, and so we need to open the mail to determine, is it a return or is it some other type of correspondence. So we do prioritize the returns in terms of the processing of the paper mail, including correspondence that is received. We process the returns on a priority basis, and of that, we process refunds on a priority basis. And so I can certainly tell you, sir, that our people are working really hard. We're doing 2 shifts and have offered overtime to all of our people to get through this.
Okay, so it sounds like to me from what you're saying that most of the backlog should be pretty much dealt with by the end of this month. Is that correct, ballpark?
I can't say that because it depends upon what they open. Sometimes they open something that's complex and it takes a particular period of time. If the straight averages work, we are going through 1.3 million per week. We have 5.3 million pieces total, but keep in mind 300,000 to 500,000 come in on top of that. So it's a process. I can vouch for the effort, and I can certainly vouch for the desire and the sensitivity. And remember that our workforce is reflective of the communities that they live in and the communities that they're processing these returns for. So we get it.
I get that. And I thank you. I thank you for your effort, but effort does not resolve the issue for those who are waiting. I do appreciate the effort, but we have a lot of people who are struggling. Let me hit on the IT question here. Congress has provided billions, as you well know, of funding for IT modernization, and there's mixed results. We still are a long ways behind. If more funding is given for IT modernization, how can you ensure the fact that those funds are going to be effectively used and managed so that we actually have the end result of IT modernization rather than continually trying to maintain and support legacy systems?
Well, the appropriation earmarks what the funding would be for, and within the separate appropriations and allocations, I think that we could cover that. Also, in terms of efficiency and IT efficiency, it should be noted that filing season 2019, we set records for processing per second, per hour, and per minute, and we broke those records in filing season 20 during the COVID pandemic, with most of our facilities shut down. And we came to 2.275 million returns processed per hour, 632 per second, without any technological errors. And the same group of IT folks who handled our filing season were also responsible for implementing the EIP payments, which was not only for individuals that we had information, but individuals we did not have information. And then we inherited the programming for the Veterans Administration as well as for Social Security Administration, and we created portals that more than 14 million people came in through a non-filers portal. Our same IT folks took care of all of that at the same time. We did not have a luxury of onboarding hundreds or thousands of folks to help us in that situation. We had people who had to multitask, and these particular folks worked 15 to 17-hour days, 7 days a week from March through July, and I would say that our folks performed. I would suggest and request on an IT appropriation oversight, specific appropriations for where we are. The Taxpayer First Act was passed, strong bipartisan support, has tremendous provisions in it for modernizing the systems of the Internal Revenue Service, but it does not yet have any funding associated with it. So, you know, in my mindset, these things come together. We take our responsibilities to Congress, to the American people, and to our employees and the neighborhoods that our employees live very seriously. We want to perform, and we want people to be proud of the Internal Revenue Service.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Mr. Chairman, it was a great answer, but I don't believe it fully answered my question, but I know my time has expired. So
I'm available for all of you on a one-on-one.
Let me just say, Mr. Hice, I think maybe implicit in your line of questioning is